One of the first people to discover the answer was Secret Service agent Clint Hill. When he was assigned to protect Jackie Kennedy, he wasn't thrilled with the job. Most young agents hoped to guard the president, not follow the First Lady wherever she went. At first, Jackie didn't like having an agent constantly nearby either. She valued her privacy and often wished she could escape the endless security surrounding her daily life. Yet over time, something unexpected happened. The relationship between Jackie and Clint Hill slowly transformed into one built on complete trust. As they traveled together across the world on diplomatic trips, Hill learned to recognize Jackie's routines, her worries, and the enormous pressure she carried behind closed doors. He wasn't simply protecting her from physical danger. He was quietly helping her navigate a life where every smile, every outfit, and every public appearance was examined by millions. The cameras captured elegance. Hill saw exhaustion. The headline celebrated perfection. He witnessed the human being behind the public image. But even he had no idea that an unimaginable tragedy was approaching. Another Secret Service agent, Paul Landis, joined the presidential detail to help protect the Kennedy children. His assignment offered an unusually personal view of family life inside the White House. While the public admired carefully staged family photographs, Landis saw ordinary parenting moments, playful afternoons with Caroline and John Jr., and the occasional disagreements that every family experiences. The Kennedys were admired around the world, yet inside their home they faced the same challenges that countless families understood. Then everything changed with a heartbreaking loss. In August 1963, Jackie gave birth to a baby boy named Patrick. The infant survived only 2 days. The tragedy devastated both Jackie and President Kennedy. Away from television cameras, the Secret Service watched two grieving parents struggle through unimaginable pain. Friends later recalled that the loss briefly brought the couple closer together as they leaned on one another during one of the darkest moments of their lives. Sadly, an even greater tragedy was only months away. And no amount of preparation could stop it. By November 1963, security officials had concerns about the president's planned visit to Texas. Threats had been reported, and agents carefully reviewed their procedures before the trip. Still, no one imagined how quickly history would change on that sunny afternoon in Dallas. As the presidential motorcade moved through Dealey Plaza, crowds gathered along the streets, cheering as the open limousine passed by. Then came the sound that changed America forever. Gunshots echoed through the plaza. Within seconds, celebration turned into panic. President Kennedy had been struck. Clint Hill reacted instantly. Running from the vehicle behind the presidential limousine, he sprinted forward as fast as he could. With remarkable determination, he climbed onto the back of the moving car, placing himself directly between the president, Jackie, and any further danger. One of the most famous photographs in American history captured that desperate moment. Hill later admitted he spent decades wondering whether he could have reached the limousine just 1 second sooner. It was a question that haunted him for the rest of his life. Jackie Kennedy's actions during those terrifying moments also became the subject of endless discussion. In the chaos, she climbed toward the back of the limousine. Hill immediately pulled her back into the vehicle and shielded both her and the wounded president with his own body until they reached the hospital. The drive lasted only minutes, but for everyone inside that car, it felt like an eternity. Inside Parkland Memorial Hospital, doctors fought desperately to save the president's life. Jackie refused to leave her husband's side despite repeated requests from hospital staff. Witnesses described her standing silently in the trauma room, watching every effort to revive him. When the president was pronounced dead, she remained remarkably calm on the outside, though those closest to her knew she was experiencing overwhelming shock. One detail from that day would remain unknown to the public for decades. Agent Paul Landis later revealed that he found a nearly intact bullet inside the presidential limousine and moved it to the hospital stretcher, believing he was helping preserve important evidence. At the time, he thought little of the decision. Only many years later did historians recognize that his account appeared to differ from parts of the official investigation, reigniting debate over one of the most studied events in American history. But what happened after Dallas proved just as remarkable. As preparations began for the return to Washington, advisors urged Jackie to change out of her blood-stained pink suit. She refused. According to those present, she wanted the world to see exactly what had happened. Standing beside Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson during the presidential oath aboard Air Force One, Jackie remained in the same clothing she had worn throughout the tragedy. The image became one of the defining photographs of the 20th century. Although the nation admired her strength, the emotional cost was enormous. Clint Hill later admitted that he blamed himself for President Kennedy's death for decades. The trauma followed him long after he left the Secret Service. Nightmares, guilt, and depression became constant companions. Eventually, he retired earlier than expected, unable to escape the memories of Dallas. But despite his suffering, he refused to publicly discuss many of Jackie's most personal moments. Why? Because he believed protecting her dignity remained part of his duty. For more than 50 years, both Hill and Landis kept many memories private. They turned down interviews, avoided sensational stories, and rarely spoke about what they had witnessed inside the White House. Their silence only made later revelations more significant. When Landis finally published his account decades later, historians carefully examined his testimony alongside the existing evidence. While many experts continue to support the conclusions of the Warren Commission, others argue that Landis's recollections deserve serious consideration. The debate continues today, reminding us that history is often more complicated than it first appears. Life after the White House proved difficult for Jackie Kennedy. She moved to New York City hoping to build a quieter life for herself and her children, but the fear never completely disappeared. The assassination of Robert F. Kennedy in 1968 only deepened those anxieties. Losing another member of the Kennedy family convinced Jackie that public life carried unimaginable risks. Later that year, she surprised the world by marrying Greek shipping magnate Aristotle Onassis. Many people questioned the decision, but those close to Jackie believed safety played a major role. Onassis could provide extraordinary privacy and security far beyond what ordinary life in America offered. Even after moving to Greece, Jackie remained deeply focused on protecting Caroline and John Jr., coordinating security arrangements whenever they traveled. Eventually, Jackie returned to New York, where she built a successful career as a book editor. Friends described her as intelligent, hardworking, and determined to create a normal life despite the extraordinary experiences she had endured. In 1993, she was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma. Less than a year later, in May 1994, Jackie Kennedy passed away at the age of 64, leaving behind a legacy that extended far beyond fashion or politics. Clint Hill continued to protect her memory even after her death. Only in later life did he begin sharing his experiences through books and interviews. His admiration for Jackie was unmistakable, and he often became emotional while describing the courage she displayed during history's darkest moments. When Hill passed away in 2025, one of the final first-hand witnesses to the events in Dallas was gone. Today, the combined recollections of Clint Hill and Paul Landis continue to shape discussions about Jackie Kennedy and the assassination that changed America forever. Their stories remind us that behind every famous photograph lies a far more personal reality. Jackie Kennedy was not simply a glamorous first lady or a historical symbol. She was a mother, a widow, and a woman who spent the rest of her life carrying memories that few people could ever truly understand. More than 60 years later, historians still debate the unanswered questions surrounding Dallas. But perhaps the greatest revelation isn't about conspiracy theories or missing evidence. It's about the extraordinary resilience of a woman who faced unimaginable tragedy in front of the entire world while somehow maintaining the grace that made her an enduring American icon.